Welcome back to Fair It's Gone. On today's episode, we have the Week 1 starting lineup of all the hot guys. Then we're talking offense of the week, the staff of the week, and then we're getting into some individual players who can stay hot, ice-cold starts, the starting five on the bump, who might need a spot start, and of course, our weekly Shohei Ohtani update. We cap off this episode with 3 stars as we have for the past 2 years. You're going to want to stay tuned for this jam-packed episode.
What we do here is go back.
Welcome back to Fair It's Gone, Season 2, Episode 2. No sections this time, thank goodness. We're just on to our regularly scheduled episodes here. We're not no 6-hour, 3-segmented long episodes anymore. But first week and a half of baseball has gone swimmingly well so far, other than the Nationals. Coming down with those few COVID positives, but they're back and playing, so they're all figuring out. So far, we're going swimmingly. Texas was packed, so I'm sure that's not going to go swimmingly here in the next couple weeks. But it's been nice to see fans back in stadiums, just in general, ignoring what we're going through right now. It is nice, just the crowd noise, not the pumped-in fake crap. It's been really nice, and really it's been actually refreshing. That's the best way I can put it. I watched a lot of golf too. It's been nice to see everyone there, as well at the Masters and stuff. So I'm just happy to have fans back in seats, honestly. As long as we're all social distancing and doing the right things, it's been nice.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Definitely nice to have fans back in the stands. Feels like we're slowly creeping back to normal. It'll be nice to have a 162 game season again instead of that shortened 60 game season. We get a chance to see. We kind of touched on the last pod. What guys are going to shake out of their 2020 slump and what guys are going to kind of keep that going forward. Can a guy like Nick Castellanos, who we've kind of seen already, is carrying over his 2020 success? Other guys, not so much, but see.
Absolutely. Well, I was going to say speaking of Nick, but he didn't make the cut. Let's look at the Week 1 starting lineup here. Just the best guys we've seen at each position. Behind the plate, we're going to have Christian Vasquez for the Red Sox. Hit a big-time home run a couple days ago. Start off the season 5 extra base hits, batting .414. At first base, Jared Walsh. For the Angels, a guy that they really need to come along, batting .385, hit 3 nukes so far. Second base, Rob McMahon is batting .333 with 5 home runs. He had a 3 home run day this past week as well. Really picking up a little offensive production that they lost with Arenado. Keep moving around the diamond. We got a pair of Dodgers on the left side. We got Justin Turner. He has 7 extra base hits so far, batting .412. And then Corey Seager, 3 doubles, batting .353. In the outfield, Mike Trout, Byron Buxton, Tyler Naquin. We're going to touch on all 3 of them later, so I'm going to kind of save their stat lines. But all 3 of them have been absolutely insane. And then, obviously, Mercedes-Benz down there. Just, dude's been on an absolute tear. And then, on the mound, we got Joe Musgrove. Dude threw a no-hitter. He still hasn't given up a run. Unbelievable. That's the starting 9 for this week. They were unbelievable. I mean, some of those guys, names we've said a lot, names we'll probably say a lot from for the next 150. But there's a couple names on there that we're gonna touch on later that I just didn't exactly expect to be here in the position they've put themselves in. And with that being said, I want to touch on some of the guys that I know we're not going to touch on later. Christian Vasquez, Jared Walsh. Actually, it's really just the infield. Vasquez, Walsh, McMahon, Turner, Seager. All guys that we've either expected to come along or needed to come along, and they're kind of doing it as so. Vasquez has helped Boston, I guess, put themselves into first place in the AL East right now. Obviously, it's really early, but he's done a lot for them. Jared Walsh, another big lefty bat that they needed. They're very right-handed heavy in the Angels lineup. Converted pitcher, actually, said, I'm going to give up on pitching and start hitting. So fun fact about Walsh there. McMahon, just 3 home run day. You can't ask for much more from him. Turner, a guy who got signed late last offseason. There were rumors that he was thinking about retiring, going to the Braves, all this other stuff. He's too old. What are they going to do with him? And they stick him back in the 3-hole, and he's producing as the best of any player could possibly produce. And then Corey Seager picking up right where he left off in the postseason.
But yeah, no, Vasquez for one has surprised me. He's a guy kind of Kind of like Roberto Perez, just a little bit better with the bat. We know what we're getting from him defensively. But with the departure of Mookie Betts in that lineup, they really needed a couple guys to step up offensively. Him, look for Alex Verdugo. You know what you're getting from JD Martinez and Xander Bogaerts and Devers. Because has been one of the biggest reasons that they're sitting out front in the AL East right now, because we've touched on Boston's pitching, and it's just not good. And right now they're scoring enough runs and just getting by pitching-wise to make it work. So is that sustainable? We don't know. But the way Vasquez is hitting the ball right now, if he can provide that as like the fourth, fifth best hitter down in that lineup, it's pretty solid. Did you see Walsh's walk-off the other day?
I did. Absolute pip job.
That was nasty.
Yeah, no, he's good.
There's nothing than giving up a walk-off 3-run bomb and the batter doesn't even have to look at it.
Yeah, he's good. He's really good.
Yeah. And, well, I guess, yeah, Turner, too, coming back, kind of what you touched on. Really not misfit, but didn't quite know how he would fit into the Dodgers' plans going forward. They're just so talent-rich that he could have walked, he could have retired, whatever. Nice to see him back. I had kind of written him off a little bit. I know he had a slow start last year, but he is back and better than ever. We're seeing. I feel like a few older guys really hit well this year. Nelson Cruz too.
Yeah,
hit Nelson Cruz off. I feel like at some point these guys have to drop off, and they're just not. Miguel Cabrera even hit pretty well this year. Buster Posey too.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of career guys staying on track.
I think there's a thing to say about some of these older guys who just kind of know what they're getting into. Year in, year out, they're doing it for 10, 15 plus years. They know exactly how to train themselves during the off season. They know how to pace themselves during spring training. And they're just kind of all going about their business. A bunch of plug and play guys. Guys like Turner, where you stick at third base, put in the middle of the order and say, hey, he's going to do his thing. Even days he goes 0 for 4, he's going to put together good ABs. He's going to be a good locker room guy. And we're seeing that out of a lot of guys right now. You just named them all: Posey, Cruz, even Miggy got off to this hot start, which is good to see. Honestly. I like seeing some of those guys get after it. But yeah, Turner's such a plug-and-play piece. It's quite unbelievable.
Super professional hitter. He's not your typical 3-4 hitter, but yeah, he just always seems to get it done when he's sitting in the middle of the order.
Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't put up the power numbers that you would think having a corner infielder hitting in the 3-4 spot, but professional at bats, finds a way to get it done all the time, and he's still chugging.
Yep, literally every single time. Turner's a great guy in that Dodgers lineup that I think really balances them out. But Joe Musgrove, real quick before we get to him later, I just want to touch on him now. Obviously, a big no-no was a hit by pitch away from a perfect game. He's thrown 15 innings this year, struck out 18. He hasn't given up a run. A guy who the sabermetric world and the peripheral stats world and the baseball savant nerds of the world have loved for a few years, and it looks like he's kind of putting it together. I mean, it's 2 starts, so I'm not gonna jump to conclusions here, but this is kind of the Joe Musgrove that's been getting hyped up in the fantasy corners of the world and the sabermetrics world for the last few years, is someone that teams need to go out and get, why his stock is low, and I think that he's showing us why right now.
No, Padres look the world's biggest geniuses for making that move now. Probably helps that he's a little bit further down in the rotation there, and probably not as much pressure to perform. I mean, I think in Pittsburgh he was far and away their best pitcher, especially with Tyon not really ever being healthy. But now going to San Diego, he's behind two former Cy Young. Well, no, I guess Darvish hadn't won one, but he's come close. But Snell's won one. He's got two proven aces in front of him, plus a couple other guys like Chris Paddock, who's been around. So I think what Musgrove's doing right now is incredible. I mean, I think we all expected him to pitch a little bit better in San Diego. He'd have the run support that he didn't have in Pittsburgh, not as much pressure. San Diego seems to have been able to get the best out of their pitchers the last few years too, but no one expected this.
You're absolutely right. But moving on, we'll touch on a lot of those guys later. We'll talk about the team offense of the week. The Cincinnati Reds have just hit the crap out of the ball, and that's led by Tyler Naquin, Jonathan India, and Nick Castellanos, of course. They're first in the league in average, tied for first in home runs, first in runs scored, and first in OPS. The next closest team in runs scored is actually 10. They have 66 runs scored. Houston has 56 in that second spot. Houston's also tied with them in home runs right now. We say this every year, right? I mean, this team's electric. Castellanos, you have Suarez, you have outfielders who can get hot at any time. You got guys who've been there, done that. Then you got young guys, pair them up like Senzel and India. And this offense can be lethal. Cincinnati was a team I was huge on last year, especially with Bauer. But with the strides Gray took again this year, or the strides Gray took last year and him coming back later on this year, I think Cincinnati can be dangerous. And this offense is really showing why. I guess time will tell if they cool off kind of like they did last year. But a team that's just full of potential.
No, I mean their offense. I was not huge on their offense going into the season. I mean, I kind of felt like it was Castellanos, who's super streaky, as we know, Suarez, and everybody else. I don't think anyone expected contributions like this from Tyler Naquin. Jesse Winkers hit well. Votto's doing Joey Votto things of late. Jonathan India has been really good for them coming up. He's playing second base, I believe. And they've got Suarez at shortstop. Not great defensively, but they're getting it done pitching-wise, hitting the crap out of the ball. We said it before. This NL Central race is as wide open as anybody, and a hot start like this from the Reds can really, I mean, I think in a race this tight, 3 or 4 games may be the separation you need. And if you can pick those up early in the season, that's huge. Reds are definitely getting themselves on the right foot to make a run at the NL Central.
Yep, bingo. Hit it right on the head. Moving over to the staff of the week, just flip side has to be the San Diego Padres, obviously. The Musgrove no-hitter. But on top of that, they're first in the league in ERA at 1.98. They're first in WHIP. They're second in Ks, only 2 strikeouts behind the Dodgers. They have 97, and they're tied in first in saves. A team that we expected a lot out of their pitching staff with guys like Snell, Darvish, Musgrove, Paddock. We expected a lot. They're giving us a lot. So, I mean, spade is spade, right? Got to call a spade a spade. So, good for them. They're pitching the crap out of it. They're living up to expectations here. We'll see how this continues on for the whole season. But this first batch of games so far, they have absolutely shoved.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was huge on the Padres going into this season. Mark Melanson's been a really underrated pickup for them. He's pitched really well out of the pen.
Don't remind me.
Ryan Weathers, I think he's like 22, made his debut in the playoffs last year. So he actually didn't debut in the regular season until season. He's pitched well. They've still got Mackenzie Gore waiting in AAA.
Mm-hmm.
Their pitching staff is they've got a top 10 pitching prospect in baseball still waiting in the wings. Their staff, I was huge on the Padres, especially their staff going into the season. And let's not forget, Dinelson Lamet has not pitched an inning yet this year, and Mike Clevenger's out.
Yep.
Their staff was at full strength. Good night. It'd be better than the Dodgers, I think, pitching wise.
They really would be. They absolutely would be. Just kind of moving on from there. Batter discussions. I want to talk about some individuals here. Stuck on a lot of team stuff. Who can stay hot? There's a lot of guys who have really stayed hot this year. We have to start out with Mercedes-Benz, Yerman Mercedes. Started off, obviously his first really major league debut. 5 for 5. Next game, I believe it was a grand slam. But right now he is 15 for 27 with two home runs, batting .556 with a 1460 OPS. Out of nowhere, 28-year-old journeyman was playing in probably the bottom of all leagues back a few years ago. He's worked himself all the way back up. Great story. I absolutely love it. Anyone who's negative on him on Twitter can kick rocks. This is an amazing story. This is kind of what baseball's all about. Do I think he can stay hot? Probably not. But I'm here for along the ride. I mean, the dude's 15 for 27. Like, that's unbelievable in the major leagues. Like, we're not talking about the PCBL Summer League or, some garbage, league like that. We're talking about legit AL Central baseball here, and the dude's just raked the crap out of the ball.
Oh, yeah. No, it's been awesome to see. There's nothing more fun in baseball than watching dudes just crush it. Mercedes has been killing it since he's been up. I agree with you. Anybody talking down, who cares? Like, just small sample, whatever. Yeah. We expect him to sustain this? No. But if he can go out and hit 260 and 20 bombs, that's still an awesome season. Still stroking the crap out of the ball right now. Let's enjoy it while it lasts. No need to down the road, there's no way he sustains this. Who cares? Just watch him crush the ball. It's fun.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Right there with you. Getting into the next guy here, Byron Buxton. boy, does he look like he's finally really putting it all together. He's 10 for 23 this year, 4 home runs, batting .435 with a 1587 OPS. If you've seen some of his home runs, they have not been the prior Byron Buxton wall scrapers. These things have been moonshots. 450 plus on a couple of them. This is the Byron Buxton that was the number one prospect in baseball over Corey Seager not too long ago. He's the guy who everyone has said if his bat comes along, he will be a perennial all-star MVP caliber player. And right now he looks like it. Right now he's playing gold glove, if not platinum glove level defense in the outfield. A guy I have gone back and forth on because I hate prospects like him because they rarely work out. But when they do work out, you get this. You get a guy who hits a single and he's on second base because he can steal second. You get a guy with a little bit of pop, he can hit a home run. He can turn a double into a triple. He can do everything in the field. He can steal you back. He's basically a 5-tool player when his bat comes along, and he's showing it right now. I think he can stay hot all season. I think Byron Buxton, without injuries, can be in the MVP race.
Yeah, I feel pretty vindicated for my hot take at the beginning of the year. Buxton would get MVP votes. He's been incredible. I think we forget sometimes as long as he's been touted as a prospect, he's still only 27. He's still got time to hit his prime and continue to progress. Obviously didn't quite expect this hot of a start, but if he can remain somewhat consistent at the plate, which I think has really been his biggest knock on him, because we've seen flashes before, even in years prior, when he hasn't put up great numbers over the long run. We've seen stretches where he's put it together and really played well. He just hadn't been able to sustain that for long periods of time. So, remains to be seen if he can keep this up. But, man, he is scorching hot. He might be, right now, with the way he's hitting, he might be the best all-around player in baseball if he's hitting like this with that speed and defense.
Absolutely, and obviously Buxton's one of his biggest issues been injuries. He's only played more than 100 games one time, and that was back in 2017. He's constantly hurt for one reason or another, so it's really barring injury here, which we can't make a distinction on or not if he's going to get re-injured. But if he stays healthy, I 100% expect him to continue on to be in this MVP race. Speaking of MVPs, good old Mike Fish over here. He's 12 for 29 with 3 home runs. He's batting .414 and a 1392 OPS. And the thing I want to point out, he's been walked 10 times this year already. He has already reached the double-digit walk total. I believe he got on base 7 out of 9 times in his first 9 plate appearances. 4 due to walks. I think teams might be figuring it out. Walk Mike Trout. If the Angels are going to win, you have to make someone else beat you. Make Rendon, make Walsh, make Ohtani beat you. And teams are starting to figure that out. But good for Mike Trout because he's hitting the crap out of the ball when he's getting pitches to hit. You saw the ball he hit the other night that I think wherever Toronto's playing right now, it went to the next county over. You saw the video of Shohei Ohtani waving goodbye to the other one. Mike Trout's hitting the ball as best as he's ever hit it, and now he's walking. Mike Trout's doing Mike Trout things. There's no one in baseball I'd rather have right now. Do I think he can stay hot? Of course he can. It's Michael Trout. The dude's unbelievable. The Angels look good right now, and it's on the back of Mike Trout.
If there's one guy right now in baseball that can carry their scorching hot stat line the rest of the season, it's Trout. He's not going to hit 415, but if you told me at the end of the year he'd still be hitting 415, I'd be inclined to believe you. It wouldn't be the craziest thing I've ever seen. The dude is as good of a hitter as it gets. I think he's really not starting to figure it out because he's clearly had it figured out before, but he's really kind of rounding out into an all-around hitter. I mean, we saw earlier in his career he had the power, but it was more gap-to-gap power. It wasn't necessarily home run power. He wasn't quite putting up the home run numbers that you would see from other guys. In the last 2-3 years, he's really started to shift his launch angle. I think you said he's got one of the highest launch angles in baseball, right?
Yep.
And shift his launch angle. He's hitting more home runs. He's being, not that he ever really chased, but he's, I think, getting a little bit better at understanding the situation. And the 10 walks are evidence of that. He knows that he's the one to do the damage. They're not giving him pitches to hit. He's going to have to take the walks, and at the end of the day, 90 feet free is 90 feet free. And he's got a little more help in the lineup now with Rendon and Ohtani playing well. So Walsh playing well as well. We touched on him already. So I think that pitchers are, yeah, like you said, figuring out, don't necessarily have to intentionally walk Trout, but don't give him pitches to hit. It's nice to see he's getting some support behind him in the lineup for once.
Exactly. Run 100%. Moving down the list again, Tyler McKean, a guy I've mentioned a couple times his name earlier, leading the league in home runs right now with 5. He's 9 for 27, batting .333 with those 5 bombs. Yeah, a guy in Cleveland that was a very platoon-heavy guy one way. Started for them for a while, but kind of got pushed out of that role just as his bat kind of declined. And I guess in Cincinnati, he's decided to hit the crap out of the ball to start this season. Just another guy in that lineup who is the exact kind of hitter that Cincinnati seems to like to sign. Cincinnati loves big power, hot streak kind of guy, and Nikeen fits right into that role, and he seems to be enjoying it and doing well in it.
No, he's been great. Through 8 games, 5 home runs, 14 RBIs, leads the majors in both of those categories. No small sample size, whatever. He's already got more home runs in 8 games this year than he did in 40 games in 2020, and in 61 games in 2018. He only had 3. So clearly something's clicked. He's seen the ball better. He's not going to sustain that level of power. But again, kind of like Yerman Mercedes, if he can parlay this hot start into something that kind of clicks for a bit, he can put up 260 with 25 bombs. Very solid season. Good pickup for the Reds, at least so far.
Absolutely. Let's stick in Cincinnati here as we go to Nick Castellanos, a guy who last year did the exact same thing at the start of the season, was just absolutely red hot. Castellanos just started out 12 for 33, batting .364, 4 nukes, OPS of 112.48. He absolutely bent the Cardinals over, and it was quite fun to watch. Obviously with just the nuke shows in bat flips, as well as making that whomever that pitcher was feel like a 12-year-old boy at home plate. It is egregious that he got suspended. I want to get that out of my way now. MLB suspending him, they're babies, because that's the kind of stuff that I love to see. As he's hyped, did he probably cross the line? Yeah, maybe, sure, like, okay. Yeah, I've given my takes on this kind of stuff one too many times now. I really don't care. But it was exciting to watch. Nick Castellanos' confidence is through the roof. He's just dripping in confidence. I'm sure his ego's through the roof, but he deserves it. He's been crushing the crap out of the ball. A guy we talked about last year, a guy we talked about the year before, it being a breakout candidate. He's broke out last year, and I think he's just continuing on and showing what Nick Castellanos, when focused on the bat, can really do. Now he's up and down. He's a very up and down hitter. I think he can sustain it for a little bit. Obviously not at this level, but he's the dude in Cincinnati right now. He should be a star. He should be recognized as a star hitter. And if he was in a big market team, his jersey numbers and stuff would be through the roof. I love Nick Castellanos. Can't talk highly enough about him, so I'm happy to see him just get off to an absolute red hot start.
Oh yeah, no. One thing we've touched, I'd love to see him hit well. It feels like the entire Reds line, I mean, we just touched on it a second ago, they're all crushing the ball. Hitting is contagious, as we can clearly see. But Castellanos, out of all the guys we've mentioned, he's one that probably worries me a little bit more, just as far as how long they can stay hot, because I feel like there's an inevitable cold streak coming for him. He's just always been a super streaky hitter. We saw it last year with his red hot start as well. Only ended up OPSing 784 on the year. Actually was under league average in OPS plus despite his super hot start. Super streaky, was streaky in 2019 too. We'll see, but man, if the Reds can keep it going just a little bit longer, that would be a huge boost for them trying to win this AL Central title.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Last guy we're going to touch on here is a guy that we needed to have a bounce back season this year after a pretty poor 2020. Ketel Marte has started off red hot. 12 for 26, batting a hot .462 with 1346 OPS, 2 nukes. Just a guy that we needed to see again. I mean, he's a guy in 2019 that broke out, showed that he's really good, very versatile, can play middle infield, can play center field, switch hitter. Had a really bad 2020, and I'm not sure if that was a product of, obviously, the shortened season, sophomore slump, maybe the book's out a little bit more on him. It could be a lot of things, but a guy that we wanted to see break out again. He's fun to watch. He's exciting to watch. He's a guy who can do a lot on a ball field. So it's good for him and good for Arizona that he's really showing back up to the party.
Yeah, we saw a ton of power from him in 2019. Broke out, had 32 home runs. Not much power last year, only 2 homers in 45 games. To see him hit the ball well, I do wonder. One, I'm glad Arizona did not sell low on him over the offseason. I know we touched on first pod. We kind of thought Arizona should just dump ship and start that full rebuild and maybe look at moving Marte. They didn't do that, fortunately, because he messed up some to his 2019 levels, really rebuild his value. But I wonder if that makes him a trade piece potentially at the deadline this year to a team looking to add some versatile offense.
Absolutely. We'll have to wait and see where Arizona goes with this. I think this confuses Arizona more than anything right now.
Yeah.
That's going to wrap us up for who can stay hot. Obviously, we'll have it again next week. But right now, we're going to go into ice cold starts. Guys who've just started off, just things have not quite clicked yet for them. We're starting off with Miguel Sano, a guy I feel like who can bounce back and forth between these two lists fairly often. Miguel Sano started off 3 for 30 with only one extra base hit and 15 Ks. So that's a strikeout percentage of 50% of his at-bats. That's not a good look. Big power, but again, I can see him bouncing back and forth. I'm sure he'll break out of it. He'll make contact with a few balls over the next few weeks that go about 500 feet apiece. So he'll break out of it. I'm not worried about that, but Sano's a guy that needs to get kicking for the Twins offense to really get rolling, especially with Donaldson out.
Yeah, if there's one guy we've seen that'll put up a 189 average, just kind of like a Chris Carter stat line, it would be Sano. So
yeah, absolutely.
The bomb squad needs him though.
Badly.
He's kind of him and Boxton. I feel like are kind of their X factors.
Absolutely. Just continuing to move down the list. Mike Yastrzemski right here. Started off 3 for 28. Only that one extra base hit and 12 Ks. A guy I really didn't see that's coming from. I find him more of a consistent hitter, especially with his age. But I guess this is only really his second and a half season in the league. Counting last year's only a half a season. I'm sure Yastrzemski will bounce back. He's got a lot of veterans around him. I expect him to bounce back. But yeah, things haven't clicked as they needed to. It really hasn't hurt the Giants, though, as they're competing fairly well to start this season off. Not worried about the Giants, not worried about Yaz at all.
No, he should bounce back. Like, I agree with you. I think he's kind of a model consistency hitter. San Francisco's probably not the best park to break out of a slump in, but then again, if he can start getting some gap power going and just see the ball a little bit better.
Yep. I agree. Next up, Marcell Ozuna started off 4 for 28, 0 extra base hits, 12 Ks. A guy who's swinging through a lot of balls right now. I watch a lot of Braves games. He just needs to get hot. Frankly, that's how the whole Braves lineup looks right now. I'm not sure what happened in spring training. Chalk it up to early season, at least me as a homer. That's kind of what I'm chalking it up to, as we're kind of seeing the same thing from Freddie Freeman and Ozzie Albies right now, too. Hopefully he'll get it going. I think he's a big confidence guy hitter. I think he really rides waves of confidence. So he starts going. I think he'll get going, but he needs to start real soon.
No, I agree. They need him in the middle of that lineup. Mentioned how big of a pickup that was for them this offseason after he replaced Josh Donaldson in the middle of that lineup for last year. He's one that, unlike a couple of the other guys on this list, he's got plenty of lineup protection with Freeman, Acuna, Albies, Swanson. No, he'll be fine. Just a little bit of scuffling at the beginning of the year. And, I think we always see it that adjusts as a pitcher. You're really just on the attack. So, we see it every year. Guys start slow and pick it up, and they're fine. And he's got the lineup protection, able to struggle for a little bit and not press too much.
Yep, I agree. I I think in a similar way is the next guy, Wilson Contreras, 3 for 22, 1 extra base hit, 11 Ks. The whole Cubs offense is scuffling right now, so I think he just happens to be the one that I chose to pick. I believe the Cubs, as of today, which is Sunday the 11th, we're batting 143 as a team. It's something egregious like that. So they're doing really bad as a team, scuffling. I'm sure they will pick it up here shortly. Contreras is, I think, very, very similar to every guy except for Yastrzemski on this, or at least very similar to Sano and Ozuna. I think he's a big confidence guy. I think he's a guy who needs to get going, and he will stay going. But it's about getting the gears turning first. So give him a week or two. He'll have a good week. I think I have nothing to worry about Wilson Contreras at the plate at all.
And no, he'll pick it up. I saw a funny stat the other day. It was, I forget exactly what time period it was at, but at one point, I think it have hit this year just collectively. But man, if you would have asked me going into the season, just give me stat line of the Reds offense and the Cubs offense, I'd have had him flip. I would have Vince being cold.
Yep. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm 100% with you there.
2016 World Series, they just kind of perennially underperformed. Maybe that's because our expectations are too high. Maybe that's because they're just underperformers. They got to pick.
They do.
With the way the Reds are playing, they could find themselves in a hole shortly.
Yep. Next up is Michael Conforto. Started 3 for 21, only 1 extra base hit, 8 Ks. His schedule got all messed up. Anyone on the Mets and Nationals right now, I'm kind of giving a pass offensively, just because they had that real awkward 4-game layaway where they didn't know what was going on. I've still to this day think Conforto is probably one of the most underrated hitters in baseball. I think he's really good. I'm really high on Conforto. I always really have been. So I'm 100% positive he'll bounce back and he'll be a mainstay in New York here soon. None of the guys on these lists that I'm worried about, like at all, from bouncing back wise. It's just guys that, may not be taken here early, and to keep your eye on to see when they get hot and how they get hot and really how they affect their teams here as we get into the second, third week of baseball.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And everything with Conforto, I agree. He's one of the more underrated hitters in baseball, pretty pure hitter from that standpoint. And same thing with Brian Anderson, starting 4 for 25, only 1 extra base hit, 6 Ks, which isn't too bad. That tells me he's bad on the ball. I don't know what his BABIP is off the top of my head, but I'd be willing to bet he's kind of just gotten unlucky so far. So if anyone's going to turn it around, it's probably going to be Brian Anderson. But I agree with you. The only one I'm a little concerned about is Miguel Sano. But even then, he seems to me like a big confidence guy. He's got protection in that Twins lineup, though, so I don't think he's going to have to press too hard to get it back going. I'm not really worried about any of these 6.
Yeah, so you want to talk about a guy who's gotten really unlucky. He's that guy, Brian Anderson. He's 425, only 6 Ks, which means he's putting the ball in play. His BABIP must be on the absolute floor. He's really going to bounce back and be a mainstay in Miami's lineup. Wow, he's gotten unlucky.
Definitely with you.
Wow.
I got 2 a little bit. Only 8 Ks for Conforto. So he's another one that's put the bat on the ball fairly well. And we see with some of these other guys, Contreras, Ozuna's close. Yastrzemski and Ozuna both, and then Sano especially. Sano and Contreras both are at 50% K rate right now.
Yeah, Anderson
compared to Conforto.
Anderson's the Major League BABIP average is 297. His BABIP's 211 right now. He's just getting really, really unlucky.
Yeah, definitely unlucky.
I mean, he's hitting the ball exit velocity at 89 miles per hour on average. He has a 36.8% hit hard, which is right around Major League average, but his numbers do not reflect that right now. But let's move on to the bump. Let's move on to the bump here. Let's talk about the starting 5 from Major League Baseball. This week, obviously, we touched on Joe Musgrove already. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Musgrove, no hitter, 15 innings pitched, 0 ERA, 18 Ks. Show it out. But let's move on to the next one. Lance Lynn here. Mass equals gas. Absolute unit of a dude. 13.2 innings pitched. Hasn't given up a run either. 17 Ks. A guy that The White Sox need to come along, or not come along. They need to perform because that's why they signed him. They signed him to be that ace along with Lucas Giolito, and he is showing exactly why they did it. The dude is shoving. The dude, ever since leaving the wasteland that is St. Louis, has shown that he's a Cy Young caliber pitcher, and he's doing it again this year to start off the year.
No, he's been really well, or pitched really well this year. I was a little bit skeptical of that deal when they made it because I thought Dane Dunning pitched well in Chicago last year, but clearly the White Sox are all in with the Lynn trade and the Liam Hendricks signing and Grandal and Keuchel last year. And it's paid off. I think, honestly, all of their moves so far we really haven't seen much from Liam Hendricks yet, but all accounts, he'll be normal Liam Hendricks. Their moves so far, they've made some really good moves the last few years, and it's set them up well. It's been great this year.
Absolutely. Moving on to the third spot here, Jacob deGrom, 14 innings pitched, 0.64 ERA, 21 Ks. I'm not going to spend too much time on here. Is Jacob deGrom doing Jacob deGrom things? I saw a tweet today that says Jacob deGrom's so good he shuts down 2 offenses because he really can't get any run support. I wish I still had the numbers. The Mets do not score runs when he's on the mound. I feel bad for him. He is the late 2010s, 2020s versions of Felix Hernandez, Tim Lincecum, anyone who pitched for the Mariners or the Giants during those late 2000s, early 2010s runs. He needs a little bit of help now. You know what? As a Braves fan, he doesn't need any help. The dude's really just an unbelievable pitcher, and he's again showing us this year why he is he owns the king or the crown to be the best pitcher in Major League Baseball for the last 3 or 4 years.
Oh yeah, no, he absolutely deserves it. I saw a stat yesterday actually after his outing. He's got, since 2018, he has a 2.06 ERA, and I believe the Mets are 36-42 in his starts, despite having a 2.06 ERA. I think Verlander his ERA since 2018 is a whole half run higher. Yet the Astros are like 46-23 in his starts. And Garrett Cole's even was a little bit higher than that. It was like 2.67 or something. Mm-hmm. And Astros and the Yankees were something like 3 times as many wins as losses when Garrett Cole's on the hill. Yet here's deGrom with a whole half a run ERA lower than Verlander and Cole. Both have double the amount of wins as losses for their teams. And the Mets are under 500 in deGrom starts the last 3 years. That's pretty pitiful.
It really is.
It is a travesty that deGrom cannot. I think he's a Hall of Famer because I think we're gonna start looking more at prime for a pitcher and not necessarily. Hopefully, we move even further away from wins and losses. It's not his fault the Mets can't score runs. My goodness, he's doing everything he can.
No,
and then still can't get any help. Bad for him, but all he can do is keep doing what he's been doing and go out and shove.
That's right. Moving on to the next guy we talked about here in the first couple sections of episode 1 here, Corbin Burnes for the Milwaukee Brewers, a guy we talked about needing to be the breakout star for them, or I guess follow up with his 2020. He's done so far. 12 and a third innings, 0.73 ERA with 20 Ks. Has been that guy for Milwaukee with Brandon Woodruff to really push their staff into the legit, division contender. Burnes has been great. He has one of the best cutters in baseball. I believe I saw he almost has double the amount of Ks on his cutter than the next closest person. Which, hey, if you got a go-to pitch, that's what you need in Major League Baseball. Burnes has showed that he's a legit guy and he's going to stick. And he's carried that 2020 success straight into 2021.
Yeah, no, he's got disgusting stuff. Brewers, I think, have a really underrated 1-2 with Woodruff and Burnes. They're not your typical 1A ace, but I mean, the stuff is there. It was always the control for him, and he's kind of gotten that nailed down the last 2 seasons. I think he's going to be an all-star going forward. He's definitely got the stuff for it.
Absolutely. Finishing out the rotation here, Jose Barrios, 11 2/3 innings, 1.54 ERA with 20 Ks. Very electric stuff. I feel like we talk about Barrios at least 2-3 times every season, having electric stuff, having Cy Young caliber stuff, and he can't really all put it together for a full 30 starts. But he's getting off to a good start this year, so maybe this is the year for him. But again, he's disgusting. He can strike out just about anyone on the plate. It keeps that control in check, and he's one of the best guys in Major League, and he's done that so far through his first 2 starts.
No, him and Burnes actually dueled no-hitters in their first starts of the season. Both had a no-hitter through 6 or something. Burns gave up a hit. They pulled Barrios due to pitch count. I don't think he was going to be able to finish the game anyway unless he got a couple of 3-pitch innings. It wasn't fully ramped up yet, but no-hitter through 6 in his first start. Pitched well his second start. He's another guy, just like Burns, has the stuff, just hadn't been able to really put it all together. He's looked good. And the Twins have needed it, I think, because that's been their weak spot the last couple of years, has been starting pitching. But with Maeda pitching the way he did last year, and Barrios, if he pitches like this, they may finally break that playoff winless streak.
Absolutely, maybe. Hey, I called it, baby. Twins are my team this year.
You did.
That's going to wrap us up here for the starting 5. We're going to stick in pitchers, though. Spot start needed. There's 3 guys who just did not get off to the hottest starts here. Brad Keller is the first guy, a guy who had a really good 2020, and we were looking to really continue that into 2021 as the Royals need that ace. But so far through his first 2 starts, he's only gone 4 2/3. He's a 19.29 ERA. He's allowed 15 hits. He's just getting pieced up a little bit. There's really no other way to put it. Not sure if he's going to bounce back or not. I think the whole Royal staff is getting pieced up a little more than they expected, including Brady Singer right now. I think Keller has the stuff to bounce back. We'll have to see, but yeah, he's getting touched up, and maybe a start off won't be the worst thing in the world for him.
Yeah, no, he got pieced around. Only went an inning and a third in his first start against Texas of all teams. I think that was on opening day. Both of them had their pitchers out in the first couple innings.
Yep.
I think he'll be all right. He pitched well last year. I think he had a sub-3 ERA for the Royals last year, and he was good in 2019. I think he just needs a kind of reset mentally. Yeah, I mean, 15 hits allowed in 4 2/3 is pretty rough, but he gave up 9 in an inning and a third against Texas on opening day.
He didn't.
Luckily for him, there's not really anyone knocking on the door to get him out of the rotation, so he's going to have some time to figure it out.
He will, and I'm sure he will. He's a major league caliber guy. Moving on to the next guy, Jose Quintana here. 5 innings pitched, 16.2 ERAs. He's walked 7 guys in those 5 innings. Control issues, which is uncharacteristic from Quintana. The Angels signed him to kind of lock down that top end of the rotation here. Scary to see him not performing the way they really need him to. Now they're back on relying as Dylan Bundy is their number 1. Bundy's good, but he's not number 1 stuff. So they need Jose Quintana. I think they need Jose Quintana to pick it up more than Jose Quintana needs himself to pick it up. The Angels were really relying on him to kind of be that guy to just throw 160 innings and, not throw him out there every 5 days and not really worry about it. He's going to give you 5 innings, couple earned runs, couple Ks, and really just hold down the fort. So to see him start off the season so rough is not a good sign here.
I agree. I think it's more concerning for the Angels than for Quintana himself because, like you said, they don't have much margin for error. They're a little deficient on paper, especially pitching-wise. When you've got Trout and you've got Rendon and you don't really have any pitching and your big pitching acquisition is to go and get Jose Quintana, he pitches like this to start the season, that's concerning. He's going to have to figure it out quick because they've got no margin for error if they want to make the playoffs this year.
Nope, literally no margin for error. Absolutely none. And then last but not least, Madison Bumgarner. Just got off to a real rough start. 9 innings pitched, 11 ERAs, allowed 15 hits. He's actually been more valuable as a hitter this year. He's actually 1 for 5 with a double at the plate, batting 200. I'm 100% sure that he's been more valuable as a hitter. He actually came in the other day for a pinch hit opportunity over 2 actual position players. Not sure why that was the reasoning. It's not like Madison Bumgarner is a good hitter. Let's remember that, people. Let's remember that he is a career 177 hitter. Let's stop acting like he's a good hitter and stop using him over actual position players. Arizona manager, whoever you are, please stop. I can't even remember your name. Please stop doing that. For my sake, your Twitter impressions aren't that important. But yeah, he's been more valuable as a hitter than a pitcher this year. A guy that his velo is gone, his funky motion is kind of given way. The Madison Bumgarner's old is no longer here. I think it's about time that we kind of wrap up the Mad Bum as an ace discussion and really, He'll be on the Yankees here in a couple years, trying to win him a ring in like the five hole in the rotation.
I hope he's not in the 5 hole in the rotation, because that'd mean our rotation sucks.
What'd you say, Corey Kluber in the 2 hole?
He's not bad at this point, but
fair enough.
I was just thinking, we threw his name up there. I mean, he had a higher than 6 ERA last year in like 40 some innings, and I take maybe not, but I think we've seen by far the best of Madison Bumgarner in the past. I do not see him turning it around. I don't know if you remember, he had that dirt bike accident like 2017 or 18, and he really just has not been the same since. He came back and threw okay after that to start, and last year was terrible. He's lost a ton of velocity on his fastball. I think that delivery is not as deceptive as it used to be. One, he's been around for a while. Two, we see a lot of guys who have put an emphasis on hiding the ball like that because it's a little more deceptive, and I think because of that, his delivery has lost a little bit of its deception because other guys are doing it, and you see it a lot more now. The biggest thing for me, his velo is just gone.
Yep.
He's up there humming 89 with no movement. That's not going to work in the major leagues. He's getting absolutely railed. I really just don't see him turning it around, and it sucks because he was so fun to watch for a while. But ever since that dirt bike accident, he's really just not been the same pitcher, and because of his shoulder injuries, I don't see him getting the velo back.
I don't either. He's just a guy. He's gonna have to get real crafty. I don't think a move to the pin for Madison Bumgarner would be all that bad, if I'm being completely honest with you. Frankly, I really don't think that'd be that bad of a move. Last year, he was in the 2nd percentile for fastball velocity, not the 98th, the 2nd percentile. Very few guys throwing their fastballs as slow as him. He's been at least under the 10th fastball velocity since 2017, since that dirt bike accident. I think he's going to have to be a guy, if he wants to continue to be successful in this league, he's going to have to retool himself in some shape, way, or form. Which is sad to see. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to rag on the guy. It's sad to see. But Arizona definitely can't count on him being the ace going here on forward.
No, I'm agreement there.
Yeah, it's going to wrap us up there. We're going to go to the Shohei Ohtani update. We're going to give you weekly because, frankly, with him being healthy, we can't not talk about him during a week, right? Right? He's exciting to watch, especially the start of baseball. This year, he started off the season hitting 10 for 34, 6 extra base hits that include 3 home runs and 2 triples, 2 stolen bases with an OPS with 1039. And then on the mound, he has had 1 start. He went 4 2/3 with 7 Ks, a 1.93 ERA, hitting that 102 mark. If he can stay healthy, again, we've talked about it 1,000 times. I still think his best goal is hitting closing. But for the time being, if he's doing what he's doing, he's going to be probably the most exciting player in baseball to watch. And that's even with Mike Trout on his own team. The dude is actually unbelievable. The piss missiles he hits out of the yards are absolutely just dookied on. He's an unbelievable talent. I'm starting to drink at least a little bit of the Shohei Ohtani Kool-Aid. I've kind of been a little hesitant. I've looked at it. I've asked other people how its taste. You know what I'm saying? But maybe I'm taking a sip. Maybe I'm at least getting the aroma in here. At least pouring me a little glass.
No, I don't know. Were you watching his first start the other day?
Yes, I caught a bit of it
on Sunday Night Baseball. Mm-hmm. First inning threw the hardest pitch all season at 101. I think either by a starter or maybe in general.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the bottom half of the inning, hit a 115-mile-an-hour home run, which at the time was the hardest hit home run in baseball. So he, in one inning, his first inning all season, he had thrown the fastest pitch in baseball and hit the hardest home run in baseball, which is just mind-boggling that you can get that from the same person. His skill set is, and I know we talk a lot about Babe Ruth, Ohtani, whatever, the last really great guy to pitch and hit at a high level. Ohtani's no Babe Ruth, but holy crap, his skill set, if he can stay healthy, my goodness.
Well, of course he's no Babe Ruth. He's real.
Okay, Jared Carrabis.
But no, another thing on Shohei, he actually has the highest barrels per plate appearance percentage right now as well. The dude crushes baseballs.
I was not huge on Ohtani because how are you going to get him to pitch and hit a regular basis and really have him be valuable? There's the injury concerns. I'm all in. Screw it. Give me the Kool-Aid. Give me a freaking gallon jug of it.
All right. Well, let
Give
me know how it tastes. I'm gonna stay over here for just a little bit. I'll watch you drink it. I'll pour me a glass. Don't get me wrong. I'll have a nice cool glass. It'll be ready. Maybe I take a few sips. I'm sipping it this week. All right. I'm sipping it this week. Maybe I'll douse myself here shortly. But for now, I'm on the sip train. But yeah, from going on, we're gonna have showtime here every single week on the pod. Again, there's no way we can't talk about this guy. There's literally not a singular, unless he's hurt, which would be unfortunate. But let's not do that again for like the 5th straight year. But to wrap us up here, as always, every week we've done on this since the podcast, 3 stars here. Talk about 3 guys who maybe not got the recognition that they deserve this week and deserve to be on the spotlight. My first star right here is going to be Kevin Gausman, a guy whose career has been a actual roller coaster. He looks like Apollo's chariot going up and down. But so far in 2 starts, he's gone 13 2/3 innings with a 1.32 ERA and 11 Ks. Spun an absolute gem against San Diego. Another guy in San Francisco who's been there, done that, kind of knows what they're doing out there, and he's getting the job done.
Yeah, no, he's been great in San Francisco last year and this year too to start. Good to see him pitching well. My first star was Aaron Seville, Cleveland. He's pitched 7 innings plus in both of his 2 starts this year, 14 2/3 innings in total. Only given up 5 hits, so he is the anti-Brad Keller.
Yes.
4 earned runs, 12 Ks. Really well for them. They needed someone to step up with the loss of Clevenger and then Bauer the year before, and he's done so far.
Absolutely. Rolling into my second star, Phillip Evans from the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's 9 for 23 with 3 nukes, batting .391 with a 1288 OPS. Pittsburgh not going to get a lot of love this year. They're not going to be very exciting. This guy has gotten off to a rock solid start, and I'm sure he's not getting talked about as much as he needs to, as he's really been just red hot to start the year.
No, definitely with you. My second star, going back out to the desert, Ketel Marte's teammate Asdrubal Cabrera. He's another you're talking about. They just seem to keep hitting. I don't know if it was the extra games off last year, kind of just gave him a reset, but he's hit really well this year. And not a guy I think even Arizona really expected to get anything from, and he's been great for them so far.
Absolutely. My third star, my biggest star this week, Cedric Mullins for the Baltimore Orioles. Started off the year 15 for 33 with 4 doubles. That puts him at a .455 average with a 1167 OPS. Has really propelled Baltimore into that second spot in the AL East right now. Baltimore came out hot, took a few games from, actually swept Boston to start the year, has taken a game from someone else this year. Baltimore has looked solid, and that's really behind Cedric Mullins. Not a guy you'd expect to talk about, but he's absolutely raked the ball. Almost a hit for every 2 at-bats. Just really hot this year. Good for him, good for Baltimore.
No, I agree. Baltimore needed somebody to step up, especially when they're just dumping guys that do step up like Renato Nunez. Sticking with the old guy theme for me, my third star, Nelson Cruz. Again, I think I've written him off each of the last 3 years. Okay, this is going to be the year that it falls apart. He's not going to be able to hit. Dude is just as consistent as they come. Hitting .458, 1481 OPS. Leads the AL in home runs with 4. He just continues to hit and hit and hit. I was watching him the other day on Monday afternoon baseball, I guess, or Tuesday afternoon baseball, and he hit one down the line with the bases loaded against Detroit. They ruled it foul. He was adamant that it was fair. In the very next pitch after replay review, it's a slider over the left field fence that probably didn't get more than 15 feet off the ground. Just an absolute piss missile. And he is still just crushing the.
Yep. Yeah, Nelson Cruz deserves it. He hasn't been talked about this year at all, and here he is on the top of the OPS leaderboard, top of the slugging percentage leaderboard, and the home run leaderboard. I'm telling you, he's going to play till he's 55, and he's going to continue to do it. Eventually, I think at this point, we're going to be talking about, where's Nelson Cruz on the all-time home run list?
That is a good question.
I'm looking it up now. Hold on. Nelson Cruz has 421 career home runs.
Wow.
I think he's definitely getting to 500 at this pace. I'm going to be honest with you, which would just be wild. in my complete opinion. All-time home run list.
I think he hits it to about 475.
I think he hits 5. Like the way he's playing now.
Yes, but that's 2 more seasons of 40 bombs.
Okay, we said that 5 years ago from Nelson Cruz.
That is very
at this
I'll
point,
give you that. That is very fair.
like at this point, I didn't know Edwin Encarnacion has hit 424 career home runs. Let's start there.
Done.
Nelson Cruz this year should pass at least Mike Piazza, Cal Ripken Jr., Andrew Jones, Juan Gonzalez, Carlos Beltran, Andre Dawson, Paul Konerko, and Jason Giambi if he gets to at least 441 home runs, which is 20 home runs, which is more than in his grasp.
Terrible.
If he can get to 475, he'll tie the likes of Stan Musial and Willie Stargell. I think it's doable. I think we can see Nelson getting there.
475, yeah. 500 will be tough, but again, I mean, you got a good point. We've been saying that for a couple of years already. I guess I can't really count it out.
At this point, I can't. I can't count. Nelson Cruz is an anomaly.
He's third on the active home run list behind Pujols and Miggy.
You got to remember last year last decade, he led all the last decade in home runs.
Which is crazy, but it makes even despite that, he only led the league in homers once.
Yep, he's a consistent what?
In Baltimore.
Oh my gosh, man, the dude's unbelievable. And I think he only really started his career at the age of 28 in Texas.
Yeah, 27 or something. Yeah.
Wow.
He didn't have a season until 28 in 2009.
That's crazy. Anyways, Nelson Cruz deserves all the love. I'm sure we'll be talking about him a lot this week. Final thoughts.
Week of baseball. I was counting down the days until opening day. I guess this is our first opening day pod. It's been great so far. I mean, we've seen some great offensive performances. McMahon's 3-homer game. Other guys like Tyler Naquin, Yerman Mercedes. I guess Mercedes broke an MLB record. He had like 8 hits in a row.
Yep.
Didn't he?
Yep.
And Musgrove's no-hitter to top it off. A great start to baseball. Honestly, couldn't ask for a better start.
I mean, I could. The Braves got swept by the Phillies after my desolate wasteland.
I would not bring that up, but we're both having rough starts then.
I'm living the Will Smith bullpen experience right now. I'm sure we could touch on that one here next week or so. The Will Smith bullpen experience is just like closing your eyes and taking a left or right turn. We'll figure out what happens.
Do I need to drop him?
Yes. He gave up a walk-off to Juan Soto the other night. Really pissed me off.
Oh, yeah. I was watching that game.
Anyways, that's going to wrap us up here for Ferret's Call. We'll catch you guys next week.